Hello. So you asked some questions and I'm gonna try answer them. I just got back from a walk and it was raining, so the look we're working with today is bedraggled, but we will work with it. Okay, so there was quite a lot of questions. Thank you so much. And I've kind of divided them up from like non-book questions and then book questions. So we'll get all the kind of like personal ones or the non-book ones out of the way first, and then we'll focus on the book questions. I just want to again say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. That feels so ridiculous, but so nice that you would want to listen to me rambling about books. But yeah, okay. My laptop is just down here with the questions on it. Ow. Okay, so the first one, what sort of music do you like? I like a lot of music, but I think that if I had to sum up the kind of music that I listen to the most, I would say it's like cool or sad or moody girls with guitars. So think Julia Jacklin and Phoebe Bridgers and Stella Donnelly, and you know, that kind of energy I listen to a lot. Big Thief are my favorite band. I love Big Thief and I listen to them every day. I have seen them quite a few times live. I just feel like Adrienne Lenker is such an incredible lyricist, and their music is so versatile, and they've like produced a lot of very different sounds. I just love Big Thief so much. And if I'm in like a bad mood, like if I feel like there's a big cloud over my head, then quite often I will put on Big Thief really loudly and just like scream along to it, and that seems to help. Speaking of Big Thief, I also love Adrienne Lenker's solo work, and in that similar vein, like more like acoustic energy, I also love Indigo Spark and like Joni Mitchell, and you know, like just really good singer-songwriters who put a lot of emphasis on their lyrics. My favorite song, so Big Thief are my favorite band, but my favorite song is Les Fleurs by Minnie Riperton. I think that song is the most magical song that's ever been made, and if you have never heard it, then please go listen to it. It will change your life. It's amazing. What else do I listen to? I mean, I listen to a lot of music, but it's like now I can't seem to think of any. Hang on 1 second. Are we sitting comfortably? Okay. I'm just gonna list some music that I like. Okay. Soko, Beach House, Saint Vincent, Bon Iver. Maybe because you've asked all these questions, you would have thought, oh, like, you know, writing out a rough answer would be a good idea, like having a prompt. No, we're winging it, we're riffing it, like I do with literally every aspect of my life. Fiona Apple, Licky Lee, Mitski, Caroline Polachek, Chaim, basically any kind of cool, sad, or moody girl with a guitar making some noise, I will definitely like. Alex Cameron, Perfume Genius, Sharon Van Etten, James Blake, Krungbin. Krungbin are like, if you want to feel like it's summertime or if you want to feel like it's party time, then Krungbin are absolutely who you want to be listening to. Also really good cooking dinner music, like playing that loud and like making a nice dinner. Yes. Angie McMahon, The Japanese House. I really love Devendra Banhart as well. Juliana Barwick. FKA Twigs, Jerk Curb, Catherine Joseph, Fleet Foxes, Vampire Weekend. their latest album where they collaborated on quite a few songs with Danielle Haim. So good. Arthur Russell, Niels Fram, Christine and the Queens, Maggie Rogers, Waxahachie. I'm still just mostly mentioning cool girls. I swear I listen to other stuff, but that's definitely what I'm listening to mostly at the moment, and just most of the time in general, to be honest. Is it because I wish I was a cool girl with a guitar? It very well might be. But yeah, just good lyrics, loud music, cool girls, and I'm there. I mean, I could keep going on, but I think I'll stop there. But then the next question, which links very nicely, was what was the first music you saw live? So the first gig I went to. And you know what? I love this question because I feel like I get to get cool girl points for it. The first proper band that I saw live, or the first show that I went to, was Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Oh my god, seeing Karen O in the flesh and just how chaotic and loud it was. I was there with my twin sister and it was the best time. It was the best time. I think we were maybe like only 14, maybe 15 years old. If we were like 15, then it was maybe 2000, loud car, sorry. I think we saw them when we were 15, so that was maybe like 2006 maybe? 2007? I can't do math. Their first album came out during my first year of high school, so 2003, and I just remember Yeah Yeah Yeahs soundtracked my whole teenage years. I absolutely loved them. I still love them. I still listen to them. It was one of the best shows I went to, and it was my first experience of like a proper gig, a proper show, and yeah, I just feel like I'm really lucky that it was such a cool one. Next question is, do you have a comfort film? And yes, I absolutely do. Practical Magic, 90s, Witches, Sandy B, Nikki K. It's so good. I love that film so much. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I watch it every year, either on Halloween or my birthday, which is the day after. I usually watch Hocus Pocus on one of the days and then Practical Magic on the other day. I love that film so much. I've watched it my entire life, basically, since primary school, and I will never get bored of it. I still cry every time. I just love it so much. Like the sisterly bond between them, and just, you know, womanhood and magic, and I love that film so much. Okay, maybe I should do like the other film question. Favorite film or films of this year? Okay, so I tried to narrow it down to like my favorite 3 that I've seen for the first time this year, and I think they are The Worst Person in the World, Spencer, and The Lost Daughter. All really, really good films. Okay, favorite thing about where you live. So I live in Glasgow, Scotland, and the best thing about Glasgow is that there's always something on in Glasgow, whether that is music or art. There's always something on. It's a very lively, vibrant city. So I'm really close to my favorite park, and yeah, I just feel lucky that we have like good green spaces for walking. I just really love everything about living in Glasgow. It's a really, really great city. There's so many amazing, artistic, creative people here. There's such a warm, welcoming feel in Glasgow as well. And also, just one of the best things about living in Scotland in general is that you could be in a city, but you're so close to being in the moody, dramatic, like heartbreakingly beautiful scenes around here. So there's just like stunning hills and coastlines everywhere. Scotland is just really, really gorgeous, and I feel so lucky to live here. I don't drive because I heard that hot girls don't drive. No, driving is just really expensive. That's another good thing about Glasgow. The public transport is good. it's a really walkable city. It's really good for cycling in as well. But yeah, I don't drive, so getting to some of these beautiful like hills and things is a bit of a pain if you don't drive, but if you drive, it is so accessible. There's so many. There's great beaches here, and by great beaches I mean they are cold, but you know, they're beautiful. Yeah, oh, I really love Scotland. If you haven't been to Scotland, you should visit. It's just beautiful and moody and creative, and yeah, I love Scotland. Your big three, and then in brackets it says astrology. Like, I know you mean astrology. So my big three, I'm a Scorpio sun, a Virgo moon, and a Virgo rising, and my entire chart is essentially made up of Scorpio placements and Virgo placements. Does that mean I'm a massive overthinker and very led by my emotions and my moods? Yes, it really, really does. Scorpio and Gemini seem to be like the most hated signs of the zodiac, but I love being a Scorpio. I think it's great. How old are you? I'm 30 and flirty and thriving. And if you don't know that film, then shame on you. I'm 30 and I love it. I'm so glad to be out of my 20s. It wasn't an easy time, and I am so into people just discovering how great getting older is, because you truly do just become more unapologetically yourself. Like, you learn who you really are, what your morals are, what you stand for, your values, and I feel like you're just more kind of cemented in yourself as a person, and I really love that about getting older. I also love that I can go to like the supermarket and need to pick up something as silly as like painkillers and still get ID'd. That definitely feels good. I don't have my glasses, so I'm like squinting at my computer screen to try and see what these questions are. Okay, so we're on to the book questions now, I think. I tried to group them all quickly before I came and sat down here, so hopefully I haven't missed any personal ones out. What book would have been formative to you had you found it sooner in life? I think for this one, see, maybe I really should have like prepared my answers before trying to record this, but you know, this is like, it's genuine, it's authentic, it's organic, we're just going with the flow. Maybe Men Who Hate Women by Laura Bates. It is as distressing as the title sounds. It's a non-fiction book by Laura Bates, who has written a lot about sexism and misogyny, and I think if I'd read this book when I was younger, I almost feel like I would have been better prepared for honestly the terrifying reality of life as a woman. Yeah. What book changed the way you see and navigate the world, and how did it change you? So I feel like my last answer was like really serious. So to lighten the mood a bit, I think for this question, which book changed the way that I see the world and navigate it, and how did it change me? Maybe M Train by Patti Smith, because so I'd read Just Kids, and obviously in that book, Patti Smith is speaking about a huge movement in a huge city with all these huge names, and it's amazing, but I feel like M Train is a little bit more introspective, and it's about her personal practice, and also there's a lot of like really pedestrian moments in there, but she writes about them so well, and I think that really changed things for me, because quite often, if I take dance school as an example, like when I was in my training, a lot of the time people were really focused on like big maximalist ideas. I'm sorry. Maximalist ideas, and like making everything like big, and like lots of like jumps and leaps and like lots of spins, and that's great. Like there's so a place for that, and you know, splits and high extension where the leg is up here, and I'm just like, that is great, it's so impressive, like we can see your facility, I appreciate it, look how like well trained and like powerful your body is. But for me, a lot of the time, I just really wanted to explore like super pedestrian stuff. Like, oh my god, wouldn't it be like so interesting to like do something really simple but like really slow, and like how can we play with making that slower and more engaging, and how can we create like an atmosphere simply from like using your gaze. And maybe that sounds like really wanky of me. I think Train by Patti Smith gave me the permission to really allow myself to fall in love and to explore more pedestrian, introspective things in life. And as someone who is such an introvert, like that's naturally where I tend to gravitate towards anyway. And it's like, as a dance artist or a choreographer or like a movement director, like how do you bring that really pedestrian, like boring or introspective world, like how do you bring that out and make it a performance and make that as engaging as someone who is like leaping across the stage and having their leg up here and doing all these like really fast spins and like contorting their body? Like how can something simple be really engaging? And I think that Trained by Patti Smith just gave me the permission to like really pursue and explore that, and just open my eyes to seeing that more everywhere as well, and also deepened my appreciation for like everyday moments. I love when she writes about just sitting down with her coffee and writing, or how she's waking up in the morning and how she's feeling. Like to me, that like making really simple things beautiful and engaging, or making really simple things just so like alive that they come off the page, I love that. And that's definitely how I like to navigate myself through the world. And yeah, things don't need to be extra. M-Train really brought that home to me. So somebody asked me what my heart books are, and then they went on to explain that they'd like learned this term from a podcast, meaning books that are like close to your heart, books that you'd want to return to again and again. So basically books that I love and mean something to me. Well, M-Train by Patti Smith. Also, The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. That book is just absolutely stunning, and like as upsetting as it can be, it's also incredibly comforting. This is a newer read for me, but Bluets by Maggie. I know that I will go back to again and again. There's just so much beauty in there, there's so much honesty in there. Yeah, okay, let's just make that 3 books. So M-Train, Bluets, and The Year of Magical Thinking, which is interesting because they're all non-fiction. Are there any popular / notable books that you have no interest in? Oh yeah, like definitely. I have no interest in reading any Taylor Jenkins Reid at all. I read Happy Hour because I saw the cover and thought it was gorgeous, and a lot of people were reading it, and I hated it. I hated it so much. Oh, another one that lots of people seem to enjoy was Klara in the Sun. I hated that book. I was so bored, and I have an issue with DNFing things. I just can't do it. I feel like if I've started something, I need to see it through to the end, and you know, nobody is winning there. Like I don't need to do that. I don't get brownie points for it. Like it's something that I need to learn to start doing, just not finishing things if I don't want to. Everyone was saying how heartwarming it was, and I didn't get that at all. Oh, this is a cute question. If you could embellish a book by adding a nook as a character, which book would it be and why? Oh my love, I would add you to every book. She is an icon. She is the moment. I would add her to, like, you know, all those like thinky women first person narratives, DWMs that we all love. I feel like a nook would be a really good companion to those protagonists. Is that because I see myself as a DWM and she is my companion? It might be. But I feel like you would add a lot to those women's lives, you know? Okay, what's your favorite decade / era for a book to be set? Okay, so I love like early 90s so much. I love that it's kind of like technology isn't like a main focus, but it's like still kind of there. I really enjoy when there's like emails in books. I feel like The Idiot by Elif does that so well. But my favorite is when they don't state what decade or era or time that the book is set, and I feel like that kind of frees up your imagination to picture it however you want. I think a really good example of that is A Little Life by Yanagihara. Not a book I would recommend. If you come across that book and you want to read it, go in knowing all the content warnings. I'm not going to go through them all here because there's a lot, but you should research that book before you read it. Yeah, it's not a perfect book, but I feel like she executes that perfectly. She doesn't say when it's set. We know that it's in New York City, and we have a group of friends, and oh yeah, I just feel like not knowing when something is kind of like frees up my mind a little bit. Okay, interesting. Do you think booktube commodifies reading culture? Yeah, of course it does in some way. Well, one, I think you've got to want to resist the commodification of things. Yeah, I think that booktube probably does commodify reading culture. Does that upset me a little bit? Like, maybe it doesn't sit right with me. I think that the main thing you have to consider is like, why are you reading, what you're reading, how, like, why are you reading, the amount that you read. What are your 5 desert island books? So number 1 would be Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, because that is my favorite book. 2, I would have to bring a Didion. So which Didion are we picking? Maybe the White Album or the Year of Magical Thinking. Either of those 2. Let's go with the White Album because I've already mentioned the Year of Magical Thinking. So I have 2 books. Number 3 would be Second Place by Rachel Cusk, because that book is incredible. I mean, obviously all the books I'm going to pick, I'm going to think are incredible because they're my desert island books. Bluets by Maggie, no surprise there. And then I would have to pick an Olivia Laing. But I've read all these ones, so I'm going to pick an Olivia Laing that I haven't read yet. So I'm going to pick The Lonely City. I can't wait to read it. Their work is just so good. Which 3 authors would you invite to a dinner party, and what would you cook them? Okay, I think we have to have Joan Didion for the cool factor, you know, and I also need like another kind of like quiet observer in the room, so I'm not the only person doing that. And we can both sit with like big sunglasses on and just like take in what everyone else is saying. Maggie Nelson for the sheer intelligence that she would bring to the table. I would be so there for dissecting everything with her. She's always really authentic and honest without any shame. And then, okay, number 3. So we have Joan Didion, we have Maggie Nelson. Am I going to be entirely predictable and say Rachel Cusk? Possibly. I feel like my 3 picks, you probably could have guessed who I would pick to have at the dinner table, but I like what I like, okay? What am I cooking them? Okay, I would bake a really nice loaf of sourdough bread. I would then make lots of nice things to dip that in. So some good hummus, some muhammara, like a really nice zesty green herby spicy kind of situation. And then I would just make lots of like sauteed veg and crispy chickpeas and, you know, things that you can like just pick at and chat, and not like a full heavy meal, but just things that can sit on the table for ages with you as you discuss everything, and you can just pick at it. Lots of fruit there. Yeah, just like lots of like fresh flavors. Yeah, that's what I'd make. What book have you recommended the most lately? So I would say over the past year, the book that I have recommended without a doubt the most is Paul by Daisy Lafarge. So I read this last summer, and It's so good. I feel like I need to it's like my vocabulary gets shy in front of the camera and I can't express my love of something without saying it is so good. But it is so good. So the story follows our protagonist Frances, and she goes from the UK. I think she's in London. She goes from London to France for like a summer program working on a farm, and she meets a man called Paul there, and things unfold and it takes you on twists and turns. And I don't really want to give like the plot away so much, but if I was to sum it up by the kind of like energy the book gives off, or like themes or the things I liked about it, I would say that Daisy Lafarge's observational writing is, it just puts you in the scene. It paints everything for you. You're in the French countryside and you like feel like you're in the French countryside, and her characters, there's quite a lot of characters dotted throughout, and they feel like real fully formed people. And just Frances's unpicking of how things are unfolding, you're like doing that along with her. Like I feel like it's paced really, really well, and there's just some revelations, that like little ones that are peppered throughout, and then like a big one towards the end. And I kind of knew what was coming, but even still reading it, was still like devastating. I love that book. She's an incredible writer, and I definitely think that's the book that I have recommended the most over the past year anyway. It has a gorgeous cover, and she is a poet, and I love when poets write novels because their word choice and their ability to evoke really strong imagery is next to none. Okay, I feel like I've answered a lot of questions, so I might stop filming here because I feel like I've been filming for ages. But speaking of poets, I'm going to see Ocean Vuong talk tomorrow at the Edinburgh International Book Festival, and I could not be more excited. I love Ocean so much. My hot tip of the day is, if you love a writer, and not just like their work, but like the way that they talk about their work, the way that they talk about like anything in general, like search their name on Spotify, click on podcasts or shows, and it'll give you like all the episodes that they've done interviews of. Like maybe you already know how to do that. I'm not great at technology, so I might be the only person that's new to this, but I swear I must have listened to every episode that has Ocean Vuong being interviewed, because I could listen to him talk forever. The way that he speaks about how violent our language is and the lexicon we use to like encourage people, especially men, and then how we've ended up with like toxic masculinity, or how that kind of just breeds toxic masculinity. Like the way that he talks about word choice and how important language is, so interesting, so insightful. I cannot wait to see him tomorrow. And also, I feel like I'm just bragging now, but I'm also going to see Olivia Laing talk at Glasgow Uni, and I couldn't be more excited for that either. So that's next month, and I'm going with my sister because we both love their work a lot. Cultural studies writing, yes. Okay, I'm going to finish this up here. Thank you so much again for 1, subscribing, and 2, sending really interesting questions. It was a ride answering them without preparing anything beforehand, but I feel like you've got an honest answer out of me from that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I'll see you next time.